Well, thank you for the introduction, Michael. Thank you all for joining me this morning. All right, we have the presentation here. Let's move forward. Our forward-looking statement. All right, we take a three-pronged approach to our business model. We utilize royalty generation, and so we largely grow our royalty portfolio organically through prospect generation. So through prospect generation, every time we sell off or partner up a property, we hold back a royalty. That way we're growing our royalty portfolio organically as opposed to the conventional model of writing big checks all the time. The second aspect of our business model is royalty acquisition, where we do write those big checks, or typically we utilize our shares as the primary currency to affect those transactions, to just go outright buy a royalty when we can find those at favorable pricing valuations, but that's becoming increasingly more difficult because that's become very competitive. And then we augment both of those with strategic investments when we can find a property or a project or a company that is grossly undervalued and is not being recognized in the market. We can go in and buy into that project or that company and then help push that thing forward and hopefully come up with a substantial gain for the company and our shareholders. And that Russian investment called Malmish that we were able to capture $69 million from would be a great example of strategic investment. These are the areas of the world that we're primarily involved in. You can see the western U.S. there, Arizona, where we're looking for big copper, Nevada, where we're looking for gold, and we're in all the major belts there, and then Norway and Sweden, two of the best jurisdictions to be in the world in terms of geologic potential and in terms in a political sense, in terms of being a very mine-friendly jurisdictions. Then we're also in Serbia, where it has some very important royalties, and then in Turkey, where we have a number of assets in the hands of our Turkish partners. This is our growth pyramid, so if you could take a look, I think I've got a laser pointer here. No? At the bottom of the pyramid there, in the dark blue, that's where we put our property opportunities, so we're constantly out finding new mineral properties that have good geologic potential, and then as we partner those up, we sell those off, they move up into the pyramid, and those are being advanced with other people's money. We are not spending our dollars to advance those. Our partners are spending money to advance those. We've held a royalty back on those, so somebody else is helping to build value for our company. And then the sort of tan portion of the pyramid was in the development phase, and then at the top, that's where they move into production. So you can see we've loaded up the pipeline, and so things are advancing very quickly now. You can tell a lot about a company by its partners, and of course we're partnered with some of the biggest players in the industry. You can see we're partnered with Newmont, Rio Tinto, Anglo American, South 32, Hud Bay, and so on. Moving on to royalty generation, like I said, our focus is in the western U.S. and Scandinavia. We're constantly acquiring new projects around the globe to keep that pipeline loaded. And those projects are being advanced through OPM, and this is very important, other people's money. So as those projects are being drilled off, and there's being resources delineated there, those are being done with other people's money, not our money. There's a lot of people who say that they're prospect generators, but the thing is, they're not really partnering up properties. We executed 16 property deals in 2018, and I can't think of any of our peers that were able to place that many projects in partners' hands. So we do that in spades, and we do it on a continual basis. In the southwestern United States, where we're heavily engaged in Arizona, we're looking for big copper there. We're in the major belts there with very big companies like Rio Tinto or Kennecott. And then in Nevada, We're partnered up with a number of companies there, and we have a lot of available projects there in the major trends there, like the Carlin Trend and Battle Mountain and so on. Scandinavia, the Fraser Institute of Mining, which performs a mining survey every year, always ranks Sweden and Norway among the top jurisdictions in the world for mining-friendly jurisdictions. We've been aggressively acquiring new properties there, and we've been very successful at partnering those off. So in 2018, we were able to partner off 4 of our polymetallic projects with a new company based out of Vancouver here, called OK2 Minerals, and we did that for shares in their new company and royalty interest. We always hold back that royalty. I believe it's a 3% on those properties. We sold off our Slatberg project to Sienna Resources for shares and royalty interest. Another 8 projects we sold off to Boreal Metals and Boreal Energy Metals, once again for shares and royalty interest. And then the Reiterhatten iron oxide, copper, gold, and massive sulfide project we optioned off to South32, which is a very large company. We have other things going on with them. We've recently signed a regional strategic alliance for them to explore for big copper in Arizona. Moving on to Turkey, some people get a little tense about Turkey because of the political situation there with Erdogan, but all of our projects there are partnered off with Turkish partners, so that's not a problem. If it was with a foreign national company in there, things may be a little bit more tough to navigate, but with Turkish companies, that's certainly not a problem. Akarca and Sasorda properties, you can see there on the map. We continue to get upfront payments from them, pre-production payments and royalty interests. And collectively, in the past several years, we've collected over $5.5 million Canadian from our operators on those projects. On the Balya royalty property, this is a lead zinc silver system that is in a low state of production right now, but it looks like they're advancing that to scale up production dramatically. They performed over 11,000 meters of drilling in 2018. We expect that thing's going to turn into a big ATM for us in the not too distant future. Looking onto the Carlin Trend in Nevada, this is our biggest royalty asset. This is the Leeville royalty, where we have a 1% GSR, or gross smelter royalty. Since we purchased that royalty back in August of 2012, that's yielded us over $15.5 million Canadian. Moving on to Serbia, this is something not a lot of people have awareness of, but the very large copper gold discovery that Reservoir Minerals made there several years ago, we have a royalty on that. Of course, they were consequently bought out by Nevsun, who was consequently bought out by Zijin. So on that royalty property, you can see it in the southeast corner where it says Brestavac at the top, or Kukuru Peki. We have a 0.5% royalty on that, but that is a massive copper gold high-grade system at the top and then a porphyry system underneath that. Long term, we believe that thing will be a company maker for us and pay out hundreds of millions of dollars. By the way, we were able to buy that royalty, it must have been 6 or 7 years ago, before most people understood what was really there, but because of our geologic intel in the area, we realized that held a tremendous potential, and we were able to find a royalty on that and buy that for $200,000 Canadian. So we think that was pretty good value. And then to the property just immediately to the west of that, from the big discovery over to that border is just less than a kilometer. We have a 2% NSR on gold and silver and 1% on all other metals. So this is going to be a very prolific area of production in the future. So this is an excellent place to have a royalty for the company. In summation, we sold Malmish off, and that yield is $69 million US, or about $90 million Canadian. We have new acquisitions and partnerships all the time coming in. We're constantly feeding those pipelines and vending off properties. We have the Leeville production and resource and reserve upside on the Leeville royalty. So they're constantly finding more and producing more gold there on our royalty property. And then on Timok in Serbia, we've got that coming online. Zhejiang says they'll begin mining that in probably 2021. That's certainly something to keep your eyes on. And then in cash flow, we have production royalty payments, and we have a number of other payments constantly coming in. We have pre-production payments, milestone payments. So if somebody comes to a feasibility study and issues that, or a pre-feasibility study, or initiates production, those would be examples of milestones, and there would be a milestone payment associated with that, which we collect. And then annual property fees. Every year somebody holds a property, they have to pay us a fee. Typically those accelerate year after year. And then we garner management fees on any properties that we manage exploration for our partners. And then we get equity interest from properties that other companies have bought from us. So we have a lot going on. There's a lot of moving parts to the company, but ultimately that has yielded a lot of success, and we look forward to a higher share price in the future. Thank you so much for your time.